Okay, Dr. Reggie, it is February 2009. We have a new president, Obama, and and it's tough economic times out there. I mean, between home foreclosures and layoffs, how are these economic times affecting our children?
In a big way. Whether we know it or not, whether we think we're hiding our stress and our fear from them or not, they actually experience it. They're sucking it up, right? Like sponges. So they know that things are unstable and that their very survival could be threatened, right? So it's this lack of security and lack of safety that really keeps our children in a zone, a healthy zone, when they feel secure and safe. They're in what's called a zone of optimum arousal. That's where they need to be. For all of learning and adaptive behavior to be possible, they need to be in a really healthy zone of arousal. When there are economic crises at hand, right, they're thrust out of their zone just like their parents are, feeling really stressed and really scared. And so arousal is either too high or it's too low because they're trying to numb from it with overeating or undereating, or there's all kinds of ways we try to cope as parents, as adults, and as children when we are feeling a fear, just a sense that things are not okay. So our children are being affected by that in a big way. Their learning is suffering, their behavior is changing, and so of course parents get concerned for their children, but they don't link it necessarily to this global context of, fear and even terror in some situations and circumstances.
Well, the economic forecast and things that are going on right now, it's affecting the home, and it's creating so much stress.
Exactly right. And chronic stress. This is what's scary. When we know that this economic crisis, how long are we into it now? How much longer is it going to go? It's chronic stress that really starts to change our children's, not just our own, because it does change our own, but if we're talking about children, it also changes children's physiology, neurobiology, right? Their biochemistry, all that stuff inside of us that we don't necessarily see, but it's really being changed by the experience of chronic stress.
Okay, so what do? You lose your job, you're about to lose your home. How do you tell this to your children?
You've got to really separate what's adult from what is for children to worry about, right? So we always have to be reassuring, but we also have to be careful not to use too many words, because when children are in a fear state, they're really operating out of a part of their brain that doesn't register a lot of words and reasoning and explanation. They just need to be soothed. So with very few words, if we can just be affectionate and we can just calmly say, I'm here for you. We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Everything is going to be all right. And we smile and we hold them and we communicate, physical support and emotional support just by being there and trying to start with ourselves first, calming our own nervous system, getting whatever help we need, whatever support we need, going and having a good run, getting our exercise and, eating right and getting our sleep. If we're doing that for ourselves, then we're in our own zone of optimum arousal so that we can really be there for our kids in a soothing way, in a reassuring way that is all about creating safety and security. And that doesn't mean stopping your parenting. This is when kids really need limits and boundaries, routine and ritual. They need us to create a safety zone. So we have to make their world and their lives as predictable as possible. The second we become unpredictable or inconsistent in our parenting or even in our teaching, if we're talking to educators about how to help these kids at school, we need to be, or the second we're not, I should finish that thought, the second we're not predictable anymore is the second we start to become just like the crisis that they're in, because it was unpredictable. It ripped the ground from beneath their feet and rocked their world. So we need to ground them in the here and now and say, listen, when you're in this classroom, this is how things work all the time. When you're at home with us, when you're with mom and dad, or if you're in a divorce situation, when you're in mom's house, it's like this. When you're at dad's house, it's like that. There are rules, there are regulations, limits, and boundaries. And that is going to create safety for them, believe it or not.
Well, parents really need to hear this information. Where can they go for more?
They can visit my website, drmelrose.com, and you can get lots of information about how to help your children, support them through this economic crisis.
Thank you, Dr. Reggie.
You're welcome.